Koltukları düzelt. Koltukları düzelt.
Hello everyone, honorable vice rectors, deans, professors, academic staff, students, guests, and of course our dear guests from Turkey. Welcome to our public lecture on the role of Cash Waqfs in the stability of the Balkans during the Ottoman period from 1450 to the 1900s. First of all, I would like to invite to the floor our Vice Rector, Associate Professor Dr. Mehmet. Please.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor, and I'm very much delighted to have our friend and our professor distinguished from Turkey, Professor Dr. Mehmet Bulut. Dear deans, dear colleagues and friends, it's a great honor once again to address you. But also I have an emotion when I see Professor Mehmet Bulut. Why? Shortly I will tell you. It was year of 2014, if I don't forget. And we had a conference in Montenegro, Podgorica. And I had a sharp debate with a scholar from there, and it was on cyber issue. And during gala dinner, he invited me, and he said, "Would you like to teach in Turkey?" And it was the first moment when he opened the doors to go there to teach at Sabahat Nizam University. Therefore, I owe him individually. And when he wrote me for the possibility to come and to teach, so I had this honor now to somehow give back, if so, at least to be as persons that can appreciate him with his lecture. Though I do know that he's very good in terms of economic history, specifically in the periods of Ottoman Empire, and he will speak about the Waqfs. I don't want to talk about that, though you know better than me, but I do know one fact is that today's modern Turkey has a huge level of social capital, specifically because of the profound essence of the Waqfs, or the foundations that were performed in the Ottoman Empire period. And it's something that elevates Turkey in terms of political pattern, political development, why not even economic development and sometimes support, solidarity, even in times of crisis when I see Turkey today. So I thank you very much once again for being with us, Professor Bulut. After me, the assistant is going to read a short bio of yours, and then the floor will be yours to listen to your lecture. Once again, thank you very much, and hope for the best.
Before we invite our honorable guest and lecturer, I would like to give you a brief information about his academic background. Professor Dr. Mehmet Bulut got his bachelor's degree from the 9 Eylül University in the field of economics. and then his master's degree, again in Dokuzeli University in economics, as well as a research master's in the Posthumous Institute in the Netherlands. Our guest received his PhD in the University of Utrecht in the Netherlands. He has had many books, articles internationally published, has been a part of many international conferences, has been a visiting scholar in the Harvard University, Cambridge University, and Princeton University, among a lot of other academic accolades. I think that in this short period I will not be able to do justice to our guest's academic accolades, so I think it is best if we give the floor to our guest and lecturer, Professor Dr. Mehmet.
Bismillah, esselatu vesselamu ala Resulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My dear board member of International Balkan University board, vice president of International Balkan University, dear professors, students, guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank in the beginning of my speech for your invitation to be here today with you. This is my second time in International Balkan University. I have been here in your old campus, maybe it was 7 years ago. Originally, my grandfather, my family is from the Balkans. Maybe because of that, or maybe because of the Ottoman Empire was a European empire, I am very interested about the Balkans, the communities, the history, the institutions. So I would like to speak today relating to my very recent project. We realized a project on Ottoman Cash Waqfs. This is a unique and the first time in this extension we realized this project. We worked more than 10 years on the archives with 20 members of the scholars. It was impossible, to realize this huge research. 14 volumes we prepared, and I hope you will receive it soon. It will be distributed by Jawahir Group, inshallah, to all the universities in the Balkans, not just this Balkan university, but to all universities. We will supply, inshallah. What is the issue? The issue is, in the Ottoman times, we had three main sectors: private sector, public sector, and Waqf sector. Waqf sector was very, very important. I will speak today on this issue. Maybe for next time we can speak about the private and public sector. It is also a unique, very different system they had. Just for your, your attention is now on my, focus. I can underline just two things. Fernand Braudel, French economic historian, very famous, in the 20th century, the big name, French historian, Fernand Braudel said that the Ottomans introduced a social revolution to the Balkans. This is, very strong statement. And Professor Hildebrand, German historian, also stressed the same things, and he said the Ottomans did not face with any resistance from the ordinary citizens in the Balkans in their conquering times. It is because their system, and English historian Arnold Toynbee also says something about the Ottoman civilization as a world civilization, that the Western civilization is destructive, but the Ottoman is instructive. You know, he said there were 26 civilizations in the world. The Westerners destructed 20 of them. And now today we have 6 civilizations. This is the statement of Arnold Toynbee, you know. So, my point, the Ottomans introduced some new things to the Balkans. They re-established their empire in the Balkans, in Europe, in Adrianople, in Edirne, you know. Their first capital was Bursa. Then they re-established, restructured the empire, and then they can conquer Istanbul, Constantinople. From Bursa they could not succeed. It is very important. The very famous Ottoman historian Halil İnalcık strongly stressed this point. The Ottoman Empire was not an Asiatic, but it was a European empire. So you need to know more about the Ottoman Empire. So today we will focus on their Waqf civilization. They introduced some new institutions. What is the main issue? In private sector, you know, the properties belongs to a private individuals or families. Public properties belongs to the state. We call it Miri lands, you know. Miri lands, and you know, it is the public. But the Waqf belongs to society. The city centers, mostly, the city centers belongs to the Waqf. You can think today from where we can generate income, wealth, city centers. There is a huge rent, you know, renting issue, income generating. City centers mostly belongs to the Waqfs during the Ottoman time. So that means your city center in Skopje, we call Bedestan or Çarşı. I will explain now. Bosnia, Sarajevo, Prizren, Pristina, Plovdiv, Sofia, all the city centers in the cities, Ohrid, belongs mostly to the Waqfs, shops, you know, shopping centers. They are collecting the rents, the incomes, and they are distributing first to science, to research, to ilm, you know, ulama, ilm, and to social services, social needs of the society, hospitals, health sector, cultural activities. So they, you know, this Waqfs has very strong function in the main needs of the society. And, you know, you can imagine within this system, you cannot create strong capitalists because the rent, the income is collected and then redistributed to the society, not to any individual or families like capitalist bourgeois in the West, in the capitalist system, not belongs to the state, to the government like in socialist system. Very different system, you can imagine. And it is very crucial, this Waqf today, you know, some parties relating to NGOs, FBOs, non-governmental organizations, faith-based organizations today, associations, you know, philanthropic area is huge nowadays. The most rich people in the United States, as you can imagine, Buffett family, and you know, the Microsoft, rich person, they established this kind of philanthropic organizations. So, and the Ottoman system was followed mostly by United States, by the way. I'd like to underline again. Bahçeşehir University made a project and they got a prize, award from this issue. The most, follow empire in modern times is United States. So now I will use this for my presentation. Very good. So this is, I will try to explain. This is the summary presentation plan, and let's start because the time is. So, history of the Waqf. Waqf, what is the Waqf? Waqf concept is as old as history. Kaaba, for the Muslims, every day we are praying towards the Kaaba, was built in Mecca by Abraham, maybe before him by Adam, the first human being, the first prophet. But later on, this history is very well known. Prophet Abraham established with his son Ismail, Our prophet is coming from Ismail family. From Ishaq family, Jewish community, Jewish religion is coming, So Abraham prophet is, the big prophet for big religions, communities, in the world. So, and then Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem was built by Prophet Suleiman again, and which are some of the oldest waqfs in the world, very well known. These two masjids, mosques, are the most important, mosques in the world, and the heritage for all humanity. It is Islam that turned waqfs into a crucial foundations we will see now in history. This is very important, narrated by Abu Huraira, the companion of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the last messenger, for Muslims and for humanity, And in his very important message, when a human being dies, all of his deeds are terminated except for 3 types. Everything will finish when we die, and our book will be closed, but then for 3 persons, something will continue. These 3 persons are an ongoing sadaqah jariyah. You established a university, you make some contribution for this kind of institution, any school, any hospital, any bridge, all human being is getting some, profit, benefit from that building. This is sadaqah jariyah, and your book is still open. You died, but you are continuing to get benefit from this investment. This is first group. The second group is knowledge of Islam or useful, from which other benefits. You prepare, a book or a kind of, this kind of, services, and the students, the scholars, the humanity again are benefiting. I hope my book, Ottoman Cash Waqfs, is inshallah sadaqah jariyah. This is my main aim, my main motivation to work on that. It was really not easy to work with 20 scholars, 10 years. It's really not easy, but to focus on this benefit, this profit, you can, stay on that. And a righteous child, we have children, we have a generation, who makes dua for him. So your child, or, your child can be not from your bloody. The students, if you can serve them, they are like your child, So these 3 groups continue to get benefit from their, investments. Waqf is this issue. These 3 things, very crucial. Aim to reach their good intention. This is a verse from Surah Ali Imran, from the Quran. Never will you attain the good reward until you spend in the way of Allah from that which you love. We have to make donation from the things that we love very much. What you love? You love money? You love property? What you love, you have to make donation. Without that kind of action, you cannot be a good person, or you cannot reach to a good reward. So, waqfs can be established for various objectives. Most of them are for philanthropic or public purposes, religious and charitable social intentions. But the main motivations are this verse and that hadith, for Muslims especially. And it is really very impressive. So, you know, the Ottoman Empire was in 3 continents, in Asia, in Europe, and in North Africa. And you see there is a kind of balance, you know, around this, you know, sea, Mediterranean, Black Sea, Adriatic Sea is a kind of the Ottoman lake here in that time. And they, you know, after Roman Empire and after Byzantine Empire, they established and controlled these huge lands, and they really established a strong system for sustainability. And all the societies, you know, nowadays there are, you know, so many critics about the Ottomans. One of them is why they did not make any pressure in the lands that they ruled for changing the language. Nowadays in Turkey we are facing this kind of things because British Empire has done, French has done, you know, the other Western, Dutch has done, you know, this kind of pressure. But they did not touch to language, to religion. It was really freedom in this respect. But they established institutions. For what? To serve the humanity. This is very crucial. Ottoman established a system based on humanity, to serving them. And this Waqf institution is very crucial. Cash Waqf, by the way, I will come to that point. They introduced this institution in the Balkans. First time in history. Then they distributed to Anatolia, Asia, and Africa, to that continent. They introduced this institution. It is originally Ottoman institution, Cash Waqf. Waqf, in general terms, it was, as I mentioned before, as long as history. But Cash Waqf is original Ottoman introduction or innovation, if you like. So, Waqfs were there based on a real property in Anatolia. Before the Ottomans, there were Seljuk Empire. In North Africa, there were Memluks, you know. There were Waqfs. But Cash Waqfs, they introduced first time here in Europe, in the Balkans. So, what kind of services with Waqfs they have done? You know, commercial services. They established khans, caravansarais, bazaars. Here we have a business person. Today, all businessmen has to make a big, payment and to cover big costs for making international trade. Traveling costs, plane, come to play. Hotel accommodation. It is the biggest cost, right? Today, the Ottomans, if Ali Rizadeh was a merchant during Ottoman time, today we have 40 countries, 40, from Yemen till Bosnia, in these 3 continents. During that time, now we are making international trade, right? And we have to provide a huge cost for traveling and for accommodation, During the Ottoman time, it was free. It was free. Because of what? Because of this Waqf system. They established Hans means hotel. Caravanserai means hotel. A merchant with his horse, with his camel, and goods are on the camel or horse, and he, together with his merchandise, he start to travel. In every 8 hours, the energy of animal is enough in between 8 and 10. There is, of course, optimality. They calculate everything. From Yemen, this get on the horse with merchandise, traveling 8 hours, and then faced with Han or Caravanserai. Can stay there free of charge 3 days. There is hadith, guests can stay free of charge 3 days. After 3 days, it is sadaqah. You see? After 3 days, your payment, your services is sadaqah, but till 3 days it is for guests. Waqf is providing this free, because that Khan, Caravanserai is established by the Waqf. You can make donation, but not payment. It's free of charge for animal and for merchant. Stay there, then second day or third day again, maybe you can make some exchange there, some trade. Then with new goods, new merchandise, travel again till Adriatic coast, to Skopje. You can come here, let's say, in a month with free of charge. You brought something from the eastern part of the world, from Asia, Persian, Chinese products to Europe. Then from here again you can go traveling free of charge. Waqf was provided, these services was provided by the Waqfs. The Selçuklu Empire, Selçuk Turks, made this investment mostly in Anatolia, but the Ottomans provided in Europe. The Ottomans introduced these services, these institutions to Europe, first time. And very critical issue, what is it? Providing safety, to be safe, During that times, during the early modern times, there was no trade without corsairs on the sea or on the land. Safe issue is the most important issue. The Ottomans provided this safe security. It is, very crucial. More than Roman Empire and Byzantine Empire. And travelers are, traveling around these 3 continents, Europe, Asia, and Africa, free of charge. You can imagine. Of course. Yeah. And infrastructure services, waterways, sidewalks, bridges, clock towers. You have seen here also, there are this kind of things. Health services, hospitals, clinics, veterinary help to patients, educational services, universities, madrasas, schools, kulliyas, libraries. Religious services, mosques, masjids, lodges, education, employment for staff wage of both the Waqf and Waqf-funded institutions, the rest. And social security help the poor after the person who maintains the house. Emergencies help for the taxes imposed during the times of crisis, extraordinary taxes also paid by the Waqfs. You can imagine not just education or hospital health issues, they covered from trade to social issues, all kind of issues, very big function under the Waqfs. The Westerners experienced mercantilist capitalism from the 16th to 18th century. Then they experienced industrial revolution, right? And you know, there is a kind of great divergence from the 16th century onwards between Western Europe and the rest of the world. This is a kind of paradigm, you know. But keep in mind, the most wealthy and rich countries in the West during the Industrial Revolution was British, United Kingdom, Dutch Republic, and maybe first French, then German, right? At the end of 18th century, on the streets of London or Manchester, on the street of Amsterdam or Vienna or Paris, you can see so many poor people, they are asking money or food on the street. But the travelers from the Western countries, they wrote so many books, and they have shown clearly that and state that in the Ottoman Empire, there is no such kind of picture on the street in Istanbul, in Konya, or in Bursa, in Skopje. You cannot see. Very few, some Christians, they said, very few, less than 100. This is the observations of the Western travelers. At the end of 18th century, what does it mean? During the Industrial Revolution time. So this system, this box system, covered all the necessities and all the people, poor people in the city centers. In rural areas, there is a system during Ottoman time that for every family there is a çiftlik, we call çiftlik, economic unit, land we call dönüm, 100 square kilometer, 100, from 100 to 200. For every family, doesn't matter Muslim or non-Muslim. And you can imagine today this land is enough for an oxen, a couple of ox, they can cultivate, and all they need, they can produce, you know. It's enough. In rural areas, you cannot speak about any poor. The poor are in the city centers, and the WACs are mostly, these institutions, functioning in the city centers. This is, you know, very important. So, let's continue. For merchant system, trading system, in every city, this is the Ottoman city structure. First, they established a mosque in the city center. Nearby mosque, they established a bazaar, a market, grand bazaar, or Bedestan we call it. It is a market, then madrasa, education institutions. Then we call Hazira. What is it? When they died for burning. For what? To remember 5 times in a day, to see this life will end in a day, then we will be there to remind and to make waqf. This combination you can see in all city centers. Mosque, market, education institution, madrasa, and this hazira. They are together. Very similar to the prophetic tradition. When Prophet Muhammad ﷺ migrated from Mecca to Medina, first he established a mosque, then market, then madrasa, education institution, Ashab Suffa, you know, and then hazira, you know, Jannatul Baqi we call today. So this is very similar. In Europe, this is, we published an article on this issue with my PhD student in Journal of Balkan Studies. There is a Journal of Balkan Studies, it's in English, the prototype of the Ottoman city on this issue. You can read if you like. So, in these bazaars, as you can imagine, most shopping centers belongs to the Waqf. It is very important for so many issues, but one issue, if you want to rent a shopping center, the prices can rise in a very quickly. But if it is under the Waqf, there is a stable situation, you know. If you are a real merchant, real business person, you can rent, you can generate, you know, profit, money, and you will pay rent to the Waqf, redistribution, you know. You cannot create a bourgeois class, a capitalist class in this society. Understand? So, one of example of this Waqfiyya, not just men, also women, is very active in establishment and making investment to the Waqfs. These both are, belongs to the Ottoman mothers of the Sultan. They make these huge investments. And madrasas, universities, by the way, I would like to underline, university institution was introduced by the Muslims, you know, first Karabiyun in 9th century in North Africa. Then in 10th and 11th century, think about Ottoman Nizamiye madrasas under the leadership of Nizamiye madrasas. Very, effective. Imam Ghazali was in Baghdad, the rector of these Nizamiye madrasas in 10th century. So, Sorbonne, Bologna, and Oxford was established 300 years later than these Nizamiye madrasas. Very similar to Nizamiye madrasas. Similar. So, until 19th century, there is no big difference between Western universities and in Islamic world. But after 19th century, we have seen great divergence. The Western universities growing fast in a better quality. Something happened. Today is not our issue, but later on we can discuss the reasons, the dynamics behind this issue. So, madrasas all of them belongs to the Waqfs. Very crucial to the Waqfs. By the way, this university is a Waqf university. My university, Sabahattin Zaim University, is also a Waqf university. So, we come to the Cash Waqfs. This institution is the innovation of the Ottoman Empire. Ottomans, here in the Balkans. First Cash Waqf was established in 1427 in Adrianople, in Edirne, during the time of Murad II, as you can imagine, the father of conqueror of Istanbul, Muhammad II. So, Cash Waqfs are the waqfs that their entire portion of capital was formed with cash money. Waqf must belongs to any property, building or land for generating income. Cash Waqf is it must be immobile for generating the money connected to the Waqf. But Cash Waqf can be stolen, it can, finish. The Ottomans, the Ottomans were the very strict followers of Hanefi school, Hanefi, Imam Azam Ebu Hanifa. And according to him, it is impossible to establish Cash Waqf. He was against totally. But his students, Imam Zufar, Imam Muhammad Shaybani, and Imam Ebu Yusuf, these three students, he has 40 students, 40. But these three students were very crucial, especially two of them, Yusuf and Muhammad Shaybani. These were, big scholars on law, jurisprudence, and economy, If they come together in an issue, if they come to an agreement, different than their teacher, Abu Hanifa, we are following their ijtihad, their decision, This is the general exception of the school. And the Ottomans find some International Journal of Islamic Economics by publishing this journal by International Islamic University of Malaysia. You can find our article on this issue, the impact of Ottoman Ulama on the economy and finance. The title is that. You can find detailed discussion and you can read the article. Just very recently we published this article, their discussion. So at the end of the day, they find a new way. You can imagine now, they are following their own mentalities, their own system, their own paradigm. What is it? Islamic school of Hanifa, Abu Hanifa, Hanafiya, So they are very strict followers of Islam, but they have also a field law tradition. It is another way, but the Ottomans are very strict followers of Islamic civilization. We understood from this. In other areas, they could not introduce this institution, but the Ottomans again find a solution. So here, I would like to add some more things. During this time, you can imagine the Westerners, the Western Europeans are introducing a new system. It is modern capitalism. In 16th century, they introduced bank with interest, first time. Joint stock companies, insurance companies, the institutions of the capitalism. You can find in the book of Werner Sombart, in his book Jews and Capitalism, in that book, there are 18 new institutions. The Westerners are establishing a new system based on interest. The Ottomans are establishing a system based on waqf, rather than capitalist class. And their institutions on finance are the cash waqfs instead of banks with interest. Very critical point here. So, they provided cash waqfs first for masjids to finance the scholars, the imams in the masjids, then to finance the scholars in the madrasa, in the schools. They first established these cash waqfs in Europe for these religious and social necessities. Then they extended to finance entrepreneurs with cash waqfs, with free of interest, with RIB system. We call the modern Murabaha system, an Islamic banking system. It's coming from that heritage, the Ottoman Empire. So, when we look at the sample of cash waqf, we have seen these 12 points. The name of waqf founder, the religion of the waqf, where it was registered, the name of trustee, the capital of waqf, the methods of operating cash, borrowing, financing trade, the purposes of the waqf, general description of people who can borrow from waqf and who cannot, the legalization process of the waqf under the views of mujtahids, the verse of Surah Al-Baqarah that I mentioned before, it was Ali Imran, this is relating to directly with waqf, the date of registration, names of the witnesses in the waqfiyya, and purpose of eternity, financial mentality. It's based on moral values, the ethical banking system in modern terms, if you would like to understand more. Cash waqfs were shaped by charity activities rather than by profit. They are generating money, but this money is transferred to, the society. Women also established cash waqfs. They are very active. There was no obligation to be rich or elite to establish a cash waqf. This is very crucial. Even those who had very small amounts of cash established cash waqfs. In our 14 volumes, you will find a cash waqf with 100 akçe, a cash waqf with 20 million akçe. From 100 to 20 million. Both rich people are establishing a Waqf, but also poor. All society is donating. This is very huge system, really. If you imagine, they can register this Cash Waqf as a Waqf, and there were, also common Waqfs that people come together to build, and the Cash Waqfs are a reflection of the Ottoman financial mentality. This mentality aims to meet human needs and increase the prosperity of the society. So these are the, pioneers of the modern Islamic financial institutions. It is evident that the gains from Cash Waqf were considered as a profit from the terms written in the Waqfiyya, such as Murabaha-i Mar'iyya, Istirbah, Istiglal, Irbah, Idane, and Rib. But there are debates about what methods are used for the profit purpose. Some of researchers claim that the most widespread spirit of these methods was Bayolina. However, the conditions of Waqf show that it is not entirely right, because the borrower from the Waqf is especially defined as traders or artisans in some Waqfiyyas. Moreover, the condition for avoiding interest-bearing transactions is also written in Waqfiyyas. So, you can see these products start from 15th century, Ottomans, Cash Waqfs, and other Islamic institutions like Karda Hasan before. In 20th century, Karda Hasan means, beautiful loan without interest. Mudaraba, Musharaka. This is the history of Islamic financial institutions improvement. And in 70s, Salam institution introduced. Then in between 18 and 90s, commercial banking products, accounts, Islamic insurance. And in 2000, mutual funds, Islamic bonds and stocks introduced. And from the 21st century, we have seen structured financial products like Sukuk and others. But the original Islamic financial institutions are coming from the Ottoman, Balkan financial institutions of the Cash Waqfs. You are now in a big heritage. So, these are the map that we collected the data. You see from all these market points, these are the cities, the places that we collected the data. The Ottomans are like very much to right, to registration. They took all details under their writings. One document is now in Skopje archives, in Ohrid archives, in Sarajevo. One copy, the other copy is in the center of the empire, in Istanbul. And we collected these data from our archives, but the same are also here if they are not stolen. Normally, it is all our heritage, So, around this geography, huge geography, the shares, the institutions, and, we, with this Cash Waqfs today, we can find some solutions for modern societies. Solutions in the way of Islamic finance. Solutions based the financial system on the Waqf system, Waqf mentality. There are huge, lessons if we can cover, if we can understand the mentality, the system, and if we know good economy, financial system of the times, present time we live in, we can introduce some new solutions based on humanity and based on our huge heritage. Can offer a solution to problems based on interest and debt-based financial system with partnership-based models. Can provide resources to poor entrepreneurs in the fight against poverty by financing small businesses. You know, there is Sustainable Development Goals today, 17 by United Nations. These institutions can provide huge capacity to these sustainable development goals and sustainable economy. Can answer the needs of local people through understanding the needs of the region by both financing local people and providing services under the purpose of the work. Can increase the amount of assistance and solidarity within society by preventing social dissolution. So, and Cash Waqfs were not considered simply charitable foundations, but also institutions that allowed the Ottomans to stand up to capitalism, modern capitalism, that we are now under its hegemony. Our production system, consumption system, our attitudes, culture is unfortunately under the pressure of this capitalist system. Cash Waqfs protected the individuals from a strong central administration and found a moderate and middle way solution between state, centralized and competitive systems. Cash Waqfs still set as example of good practice for the present day. Should be methods based on partnership. Cash Waqfs and Ottoman financial mentality shape a framework of humanitarian finance for today's problem, a kind of sharing economy, sharing economic models, rather than, based on individualism or bourgeois. So, very crucial, these are the rates of borrowing cost, comparing the Western Europe and the Ottoman Empire. You see, this is the Ottoman rates in a stability I will show, and this is the European borrowing cost. Here you see, this is again the Ottomans. What you can see here, stability, right? Stability. Istikrar, we call it. Stability in, long run, in long terms, is very crucial. And in Ottoman society, stability, security is more important than growth. And growth in the West, fasting growth is more important. But in Ottoman society, stability and providing the main needs of the society and a kind of equality in between the society. Not rich class, not very poor class, stable situation. No big difference between Balkans, Anatolia, or Africa. But today, 1% of world wealth belongs just to 100 individual families. Top 1% is taking share of 50% of world wealth. 50%. Yes, this is, if you read the book of Piketty, Thomas Piketty, Capital, you can see it. You cannot, day by day is increasing. But in this long term, it is, very humanistic and based on human values. So, what solutions can Waqfs offer for today? I tried to make, unfair criticism, inefficiency, unchangeable. However, the Waqfs were different and they can be changed if necessary. The third way, this is, there is a system based on private property capitalism. There is a public property system, socialism. Unfortunately, it failed in 20th century, from the times of Tito, better than us. There is a third way. Of course, we will use the opportunities of private property and public, but this Waqf mentality, Waqf system, Waqf structure, we have to use as a third way to divide the wealth, income, benefits to all society. So, the Waqfs have a unique structure in Islam, which assumes that the Waqfs belongs to Allah. Redistribution mechanism, wealth transfer channel. Institutions respond to the needs, education, religion, infrastructure. With the flexibility of Sharia, the Ottomans were very successful in finding answers to the problems of the present times. Thanks to the Waqfs, many services were offered to the citizens. So, a brief summary. The Waqfs also provided, following in the Ottoman society, preventing violations to individual property rights by the strong central administration, preventing violations to individual property rights by the huge capital owners, and protecting and funding the heritage of Islamic civilization for centuries, providing support to taxes during a crisis period, providing unity for land that could otherwise be divided through the Islamic law of succession, providing pensions for old age and disability, providing a preventive social security system and insurance, preserving and building bridges, roads, harbors, lighthouses, libraries, cisterns, waves, fountains, and governments, providing employment, establishing a specific system that was suitable for the Ottoman world being. So, I am coming to conclusion. Turkey has a fascinating history of Waqfs. From the medieval Seljuk and early modern Ottoman Empire until the 19th century, this country has enjoyed a flourishing Waqf culture. Nowadays, from all of the world, they are coming and try to learn this heritage. There is a great potential to review the institution of Waqf. Thanks to the Waqf, the Ottomans built a system in which neither the capitalists nor the state had complete control. It is not only for Muslim countries but for whole world. Those institutions which will help the Islamic world and work to overcome the problems caused by modern financial system and which are appropriate to Islamic and ethic values must be restored to their former power. Thank you for your attention. We have 5 minutes if there are some questions or critiques.
Thank you, Dr. Bulut. It was a wonderful lecture. I have a question in terms of the history of the Waqf. You mentioned that it is particularly common in the Balkans. What was the history of the Waqf in other Islamic countries like Iran or Indonesia and so on? And my other question is, in the 19th century, how did the Tanzimat reform change the Waqf system towards a sort of private capital, or what happened?
Very good question. Waqf, as I mentioned before, except Cash Waqf, Waqf institution is common in Persia, in other Islamic civilization regions, from Andalusia, in Europe, through Turkic republics, Buhara, Samarkand, Indian continent, in all of the world. But these Cash Waqfs are the Ottoman innovations. First, for your first point. For the second, I would like to stress that Tanzimat is a kind of centralization, central authority. Till that time, the Ottomans has decentralized system. But they did not touch the Waqf system during Tanzimat. They, reorganized, restructured the finance system, but public finance, Maliye we call it. And also the other political administration system, Sancaks and, the model system of the Ottoman model system of Turkey is a little bit connected to that tradition. So, Waqfs were still, alive, and this system continued till the Republican era. By the way, Cash Waqfs capital, amount of capital collected, and the modern Vakıf Bank in Turkey, Vakıf Bank, is based on this Cash Waqfs capital. Originally, it's coming from Cash Waqf. So that means it was originally established as an Islamic bank, a modern Turkish Waqf Bank. Now, what happened? During our project, we prepared a report to our president, and he accepted it, and he declared the original capital must be transferred from Waqf Bank to Waqf Participation Bank. Waqf Qatar was established in 2013, and nowadays it's happening. They are transferring this capital to Waqf Bank, established a participation Islamic bank, and they are transferring this capital to Waqf Qatar. Okay? Any other question? Comment? Okay, thank you so much for your attention. Thank you. Where was my USB? Do not forget. It is, our mind.
I would like to invite our Vice Rector, Associate Professor Dr. for a certificate and present from our university.
Dear Rector, Vice Rector, ladies and gentlemen, I'm board member of Balkans University. My name is Adil Arslan. I'm serving here just 4 years. Although I was educated in American University, but my English is not as fluent as my rector's English. If you like, I may say some words in Turkish because my Turkish is better than my English. Maybe some gentleman or lady may translate it. Türk tercüme edecek.
No. You can continue in English. English is better.
Excellent. We are so polite. Really, I was about 70 years old, but I'm really very delighted with this conference. I would like to thank you very much for the invitation of Vice Rector and for the rector who give us very, very important lecture today. I was visiting about 65 countries with a high level academicians. Lecture, and I'm sure that it will give a big innovation for your next education. But unfortunately, I cannot see the young students here. I wish that they may participate to this conference.
They will follow from video, inshallah.
Inshallah, this is good. Then I would like to say some words, and thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. You helped us to contemplate more on economics. And we have also modest gifts to remember the Balkans pocket.
Thank you so much. I would bring my, volumes, but because of it, but I trust me, I will supply, inshallah, in a few days, the volumes of Cash Waqfs.
There's a really big collection.
You can share this, some parts of videos with the students if you like.
So I thank you very much to all of you for the elegance. Thank you very much.
James,